So, hello, welcome to episode 14 of On the Game with the Wild Boar. With me today, as always, is Ben.
Hey,
So yeah, let's get down straight to it. Ben, you got some news items, stuff that's happened as of recent.
wait, there's loads. We haven't done one in ages. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so Sam, what's available on Xbox Live or PSN for free?
Well, I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Grab yourself some free games. So basically, what is it at the moment? So PSN is Ollie Ollie 2, 2D side-scrolling skateboarding thing.
Mhm.
Have you played that?
No, I've got it set to download though, but I remember good things about the first Ollie Ollie, but no, I've never played either of
Yeah,
them.
I picked it up and played it for about 10 minutes, and I found it, it's quite entertaining, but I just found it kind of almost too annoying. It's very kind of precise and all that kind of thing. I don't know, I couldn't be bothered with it really. I think there's one of the Abe's Odyssey games is available, as well as Counter Spy, which was the kind of 1960s espionage side scroller kind of thing. That looks interesting, but it's a little bit strange how it's already on
Well,
freebie.
it's not, yeah, but
That's
they
cool.
always were. Well, there's things you might as well just fucking wait these days for any indie game that you're generally interested in,
Yeah,
because
lots of them,
it's
especially on PSN, a lot of them do come out. I mean, we'll go into it later, but last month they had Rogue Legacy as a freebie, which was great. Um,
yeah. I mean, PS Plus is good, but there is this whole thing of like their actual like when they talk about free games, it just seems like more and more it's being filled with these cheaper, basically like smaller indie games, rather than actual like you know big fuck off
yeah,
games. And
because I mean, that's a business model, isn't it? They're going to be renting them out on PlayStation Now, kind of thing. That's their idea of the other games that are kind of like a year or two old. They're going to keep them for PlayStation Now for to get money out of people for. Whereas the indies, a lot of people probably wouldn't play, but it kind of suits I mean, it works, doesn't it? Because then people are kind of acting as ambassadors for those indie games and sort of saying, "Oh, it's free, give it a go," and then people actually give it a go and play it, and kind of might be converted into the idea that indie games can be far more imaginative and interesting than
yeah,
guns.
but it'd just be nice if there's like the odd good big game on PS Plus rather than it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
seems to be like decent, like okay to decent indie games. Like what is it? Like Xbox Gold at the moment is BioShock Infinite. I know PS Plus have done that before. Um,
Yeah, so Bioshock Infinite at the moment, and then on Xbox One it's Rayman Legacy, yeah, Rayman Legacy, and still got iDarb on there, which are both fantastic. So download them, and I want people to download iDarb so I can play it with them, because it's good fun. Um, Not for long periods of time, I don't think, but yeah,
you talk about just general public,
it's good. Like general public, hey, yeah,
just anyone.
just those guys, random people. Yeah, and Bioshock. I mean, I downloaded it anyway, but I've got the disc. Strangely, haven't played it. So,
Why
uh,
did you download it if you got it on disc anyway?
well, because then I can probably just trade the disc in for like £3.50 or whatever.
Exactly. You still haven't played it, have you?
Every penny counts. No, I haven't played it yet.
Oh,
So,
ridiculous that you're
I was
playing
kind of
fucking Destiny for
last
like 2,000 hours.
the last. Don't exaggerate, Sam. It's only 1,000. Um, it's not 1,000, by the way. It might be.
Hmm.
um, No, I was hoping they were going to. They're doing like high res, new gen versions of pretty much every game from the last like 10 years. So I was hoping they were kind of going to do that on Xbox One, but it doesn't seem to have to be happening, does it? So that's a bit of a shame. So I might have to play it on the
Yeah.
Xbox
Oh
360.
well.
So, oh well, okay, that's fine. Anyway, so other things. Uncharted 4 has been delayed to 2016. Not a massive
Surprise.
surprise, but I think a lot of people were kind of relying on that to be kind of Sony's exclusive, tentpole kind of game for this year. So that's kind of gonna, you know, alter their lineup going into the end of the year, holiday period, all of that. I mean, that was a
Yeah, I
big
mean,
game festival,
there's
wasn't it?
nothing like I
It's
don't
not
know.
bad. It's not bad because ultimately you're going to get a better quality game than would have been released this year, and I've got no problem with that because there's no shortage of games to be
Yeah,
playing.
but
There are
there needs to be
literally thousands of
more.
games.
there just needs to be more, at least first party shit going on. Like The Order, I've not even played it, but like, isn't supposed to be. It's supposed to look great, but isn't supposed to be
Well,
very good.
we can come on
And
to
it's
that.
just, I'm not. Huh?
We come on to that.
Yeah, but I'm just not excited about anything, and everything keep getting pushed back all the time.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So I'm trying to think, what's the next big game I'm excited about? Maybe Batman, but I'm not even that excited about it because it's probably going to be exactly the same as, Arkham City.
Yeah, I mean, the Batman kind of franchise that kind of leaves me a bit cold because it's not exactly a game where you have a lot of agency or control over things. It's just pretty much just walk around, mash buttons for the fight scenes, enjoy the cutscenes. It looks gorgeous, but ultimately it's just it's almost, apart from a kind of button tapping that is required, it almost plays itself, really, to be honest. You're not really doing much in it, or it doesn't feel like you're doing much in them. But they do look good, don't get me wrong even. They're cool. Anyway, so that's delayed to 2016, so that's kind of a big gap in Sony's offerings at the end of the year. And then there's also talk that Quantum Break, although it was never officially announced, it was 2015, will be delayed until 2016.
Bearing in mind that was shown at the fucking launch.
Yeah.
So, over a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to bother with the TV thing?
I don't know what's going on with that. So,
I mean, for people who don't know,
they closed their TV division recently as well. So
yeah, they did, yeah. But I think they're still going to go ahead with certain bits, and I thought Quantum Break was one of them. But for people that don't know, the game is supposed to coincide with a TV series or something like that, and I don't know how it was going to work, but yeah, just keep pushing that back further and further. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's a bit strange, but I mean, ultimately, again, you'd rather have a decent game rather than something that was broken being shipped, as lots of other games recently have been. And then also, I mean, I heard a lot of kind of conjecture around that Quantum Break thing, is that there's almost nowhere for it to go in the Microsoft schedule because they've already kind of got their exclusives lined up for the end of the year. There's a new Forza game, there's a new Halo game, and then there's the Tomb Raider game as well. So they've kind of got those three kind of like areas covered for the end of the year. So where would and then once you factor in like the latest Call of Duty and like the other games that are all coming out, then where would Quantum Break kind of fit into that? I'm not sure there's a clear area for that. And also Metal Gear Solid kind of drops. I think they sort of said that might be early September kind of area. Anyway, so that's that. Nintendo is making phone games for mobile phones.
Yeah, so which is pretty. They should have been doing a while ago, to be honest. But yeah.
Okay, so they've announced a new partnership with some Japanese developer called DNA or something.
or something.
So I don't know how that's going to work. Should be interesting. Maybe that's a gambit to try and get more business and kind of diversify. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, why don't they make games for other systems, because their systems tend to be absolute shit.
Yeah, but mobile wise, I mean, like the tech specs, just as good on the phone as they are on, say, like a 3DS or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, the argument I always heard about why they wouldn't develop games for other systems was always in that they prioritized in their systems not necessarily like graphical power or fidelity, but controller response times, lag times, all of that, so that you were kind of getting a kind of quick twitch kind of response from your controller. But I mean, going into phones is the complete opposite of that. It's completely opposite, because I mean, you don't get decent response times from touch screens, and they're so inaccurate. And the lack of feel from a touchscreen controller is just nonsense. Like it's the complete opposite.
But it's not as if, I mean, their games are pretty simple. Let's be honest, and it's you just Grand Theft Autos on your mobile, and people do that. So just playing a simple Mario game, I don't think it's going to be too overly complicated. If anything, they're the perfect people to do it, more so than anyone else, or trying to do like FPSs and all this stuff.
To be fair, it's not as if mobile games could get any worse. So, I suppose it's a welcome shot in the arm for the quality of mobile games these days, which all seem to be kind of exploitative freemium efforts.
Yeah, I mean,
designed to waste people's time.
I mean, the main thing with that announcement was that they were talking about the NX, and So it's like, for instance, I didn't get a Wii U that long ago, like around Christmas or whatever it was. So what is that now? Defunct system already?
Well, it was defunct before it came out because it wasn't as powerful as the last generation of
Yeah, but Nintendo
systems.
will like
I know they
very good
don't
at
care,
coming.
but as in still.
Yeah, but they'll still keep pushing um, their systems for longer than whatever it's been, like what 2 years maybe or something like that, and then to introduce um, a new console, it's a bit like, well, I'm not saying it's a bad thing for them or anything like that, but there's an element of well, what's going to happen with the Wii U? Is it they're just going to stop making games for it? Like, I suppose we'll get more, and there'll probably might be a bit more at E3, but for fellow like Wii U owners, it's a bit like, there was a kind of an almost investment in that Nintendo were going to pull something out of the bag a little bit, and you still got your Zelda and all this stuff coming out, I suppose. So it's not like um, it's completely dead and buried. There's still some stuff coming out for it, but it's not great. Not great news for Wii U owners. And what are they going to do? They're going to make it like a real like competitor for the Xbox One and the PS4s. Are they going to make it so it's easier for people to develop games for? Because pretty much a big part of why the Wii U failed anyway in the first place, not just because its specs aren't that great and the second screen thing, is because no fucking third party developer wants to bother with it.
So I mean, yeah, they're losing licensing money on that because people aren't buying the system and thinking, oh, okay, well I can own the latest Nintendo console and play the Call of Duties and the whatever FIFA or whatever other bullshit kind of multi-platform stuff comes out. I can play that, and then I can also play the Nintendo games that I wanted to. Well, that's not happening because they're not releasing it on their system. They're somewhere along the line they're losing money from that. And it might be an idea for them to get some kind of parity. So I would imagine most Wii U owners, unless they're kind of Nintendo fanatics kind of thing, are going to own something else as well, some PlayStation, Xbox, some kind of other gaming product, because the amount of games that comes out on those systems, I mean, they might be better, better quality checked, more, better ready at launch kind of games, because that's what Nintendo does, but there's not many of them, really, to be honest, isn't it?
No, I mean, I was reading somewhere how the Wii U, the difference between the sales of the Wii U and the Wii, that gap is so significant that if you combined the sales of the PS4 and Xbox One together, it still wouldn't bridge that gulf. That is how badly the Wii U has basically done. So yeah, it's a shame.
Nice.
I don't know. It's still like playing it. It's still actually quite fun to play, and the second screen thing is quite cool.
Well, I heard about the Kirby thing. I mean, it got good reviews from some sites, but I heard people talking about it, sort of saying that it's so distracting that it's actually stopping people from playing it, because essentially they've gone to all this effort of making it look like sort of clay animation come to life on screen, and the game looks absolutely gorgeous, but you spend 90% of your time actually playing it between load screens, staring at the tiny little map size screen in between your hands on the controller, on the whatever they call it, stylus, whatever. That just seems the most stupid thing ever. I know they're trying to be innovative, but it's kind of gone a bit too far and talking out of their arse now, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Cool. Right, next one. Are we rattling through these?
Put that to bed.
Put that to bed. That's done. Nintendo put to rights. Fine. So there's a free to download extra coming out, and I know you're really gonna like this. You're a big Fast and the Furious fan, Sam, but
I don't mind it. I'm putting that out there. I don't mind Fast and Furious.
Weirdly enough, I'm into my cars, but not. I stopped watching that series. Series?
Yeah, it's a series.
What do you call it? Series? A franchise?
Yeah, it's a series of films.
I stopped watching it after 2 because it was stupid, and I can't stand Ludacris, and apparently he's still in it, so whatever. There is a Xbox One downloadable kind of expansion standalone to Forza Horizon 2, which is fantastic, themed around Ludacris giving you missions based on Final Fantasy, based on Fast and the Furious 7, that's coming out in the next couple of weeks to coincide with the film.
It's a good idea.
Yes, that's pretty cool.
Is that free?
Yeah, free. It'll be free for a limited time, I think, is the idea. So it's more than likely, it's a promo for the film, but it's also a promo for Forza Horizon 2, which is great, basically. So,
yeah, I mean, you should watch them, man. Like, they're not, because I didn't the first one, yeah, whatever. Let me tell you about the first one, actually. Weird, right? So when I went to see the first Fast and Furious, God knows when that was, no idea. I'm guessing it was late 90s or something like that. Maybe late 90s or around the 2000 mark, something like that, whatever it was. And I had met. This is really weird. So one of my friends.
2001.
2001. Okay, so one of my friends who was a girl. We were at this party and she was like, "Oh, here's my boyfriend. I think his name's Brian." I haven't thought about this in ages. And anyway, we were talking, like we're into the same kind of music and all this stuff. And yeah, so we hit it off and whatever. And he was like, "Oh." Then at the end, I was like, "All right, yeah, cool." And he was like, "Well, let's he goes go to a lot of gigs around here and whatever. We'll swap numbers." And it says, "Okay." I didn't think of it. I just thought, "Oh, yeah, cool, someone to kind of hang out with." And then basically, they broke up, I think, and we started hanging out. And when I think back about it, it didn't seem gay at the time, but when I think back about it, it's like it does seem a little bit like homoerotic in a way, because he'd just pick me up, and then we'd go like to a gig together, have something to eat together, or we used to.
Oh, hello. You still there?
I
lost
So
you.
it's this really weird thing, but basically, the Fast and the Furious was what me and him went to see on the cinema once, and it's just that's what I always remember about it, which is really weird. Just like coming out of that, going, "Oh yeah, cool," and then we went to get something to eat, and went home, and I wonder whatever happened to him. But
So if you are Brian from Epsom Downs, get in touch.
yeah, Ryan, not Brian. Brian from Epsom Downs. You don't want him on your case.
Longing feelings of remorse and loss about your
No, not really. I just want to know, like, was it gay and I just didn't realise? Like, was he actually hitting on me and by the end of it got pissed off or something? I don't know how it ended.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard about this situation before, and it sounds a little bit like that.
Like what? That way.
Unrequited summer of love.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. It's a bit strange. But that's Fast and Furious 1. Fast and Furious 2 I saw in Hong Kong and was like, I think I fell asleep actually. I don't even remember it. But which one was Tokyo Drift? Was that 3?
That was the third, I believe. It was the third.
So that's my favourite one because it makes Tokyo look really fucking cool for a start. But if I'm right in thinking, that one is the most recent in terms of a timeline. Because because the Japanese guy who's in the third one. Okay, spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know this, but he dies in the third one, but he's in the fourth, fifth, and sixth one. I think he died in the sixth one. I think he left in the sixth one. So all those ones have taken place before Tokyo Drift. And I think at the end of the sixth.
The only reason I'm interested in the seventh, right? Not really. I say interested, but the only reason I'm considering watching the seventh is because the Stath is in it, and any film with the Stath in it is bound to be good. There you go.
Can you not call him the Stath?
That's solid reasoning. Solid reasoning. There.
Well, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the last couple. It's just the classic like heist, cops versus robbers thing, which is pretty cool.
The Rock is
actually,
and he's with them in this film because the Stath is so bad that he's forced the cops and robbers to be friends.
Forced them together. Well, yeah, but they were kind of like together at the end of the last one as well.
Basically, if they beat the Stath in this film, if he dies at the end of this film, I'm not watching number 8.
Well, you've not watched any of them thus far anyway.
It's fine. I'm not going to do a Harry Potter style catch up on like 6 films for no reason.
Yeah, is it 6?
5 films.
Just watch Tokyo Drift. Just fucking watch it.
4 films. Plus
Yeah.
7, 5 films. Right, well, that's the Fast and the Furious.
That is. But I was going to say, this is jumping ahead a bit, but whilst we talk about that kind of thing, I haven't played it, but Battlefield Hardline, I've heard some really mixed reviews about.
I haven't played it, no.
Will you get it, do you think?
I definitely won't get it. That kind of game, Call of Duty and Battlefield, is always on my rental list. I mean, that's why I rent games, because that's the kind of thing where I'll play the campaign. I've got no interest in playing the multiplayer, and see you later, send it back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at Battlefield multiplayer.
But I heard the campaign was particularly weak in this edition. That was the Eurogamer did a review on it, and before they did their final review on including all the multiplayer stuff, and it wasn't very complimentary at all, basically.
No, I mean, it's just from playing that beta. Do you remember when I said?
Hmm.
It's just so fucking boring. Shit. Yeah, so I won't play it ever, I don't think. But it's a real shame.
I'll probably play it. I'll probably get the campaign, and apparently it's not very long, so I'll probably do that, and then we'll see. Right, I'll try and get through a few things. So there's announcement of some standalone DLC for Wolfenstein called The Old Blood, where you go
It's a
back
prequel, isn't it?
the Wolfenstein castle. You what?
It's a prequel, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's set before the New Order. So it's set in Wolfenstein Castle. I think Hitler's involved. I don't know, something like that. So it's you storming a castle, much like the kind of original, 8-bit game kind of thing. So that's coming at some point. I quite enjoyed the game. What did you think of New Order?
Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it.
I was actually quite. No, I didn't love it, but I thought I was expecting it to be just kind of another shooter, and it was significantly more entertaining than most of the recent Call of Duties and Battlefield.
I don't know.
So that was cool.
I thought it was pretty average, to be honest. Like, the only game I can think of that was like a first-person shooter that really made me think it was going to be all right, and I was like, actually, this is one of the best that I've played ever. Was Singularity? Do you remember that? Did you ever play that?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
That was like, for me, I was like, fuck, this is wicked. But yeah, New Order, I was just like, this is a pretty standard. I mean, it reminded me of like Homefront. I think Homefront was third person, but like, I was just like, it's just a run-of-the-mill first person thing.
I liked it. It was the plot was decent. You could follow it. You knew what was going on.
I mean, you and a lot of people did. I mean,
relatively simple, but that is still a rarity with a lot of games these days. But yeah, I thought it was good. The mechanics were quite fun. The shooting was, I mean, that's core to the whole game. That was good. It went on a bit long, I think, for me, but it was good. Anyway, Far Cry 4, The Valley of the Yetis, that's out now.
Yeah. So I've just, funny enough, I've just put down Far Cry. Not put down like for good, as in to do this podcast. I was just before I was doing that, I was playing Far Cry 4, and it is. I've really enjoyed it.
I haven't actually started it. I haven't really cracked on with it, but I do want to do it. And I think the Yeti thing is kind of geared towards co-op. You can do the whole thing, the whole map, kind of co-op. It plays out much like the original, the main game, but it's not divided where you can and can't do co-op. I think you can do co-op throughout the whole thing, which makes it a little bit more interesting. So yeah, that'd be wicked. What else? Oh, loads of stuff. Right, so like in terms of small games, Shovel Knight, which was a kind of runaway success, and lots of people voted it for Game of the Year for Nintendo last year. That's coming out for PSN, for PlayStation 4, Vita, and Xbox One this year. So they're doing the conversion for that. Visually looks a little bit like Rogue Legacy, to be honest, but kind of side-scrolling Metroidvania kind of game. I hate that
Mhm.
phrase. But that kind of thing. Ori and the Blind Forest, that's out now.
So I've
Same.
got that. Have you played it?
I played it at Eurogamer. Visually, it's stunning. I think it's quite, from my experience at Eurogamer, it was very difficult. Yeah, quite
Yeah.
unforgiving in terms of getting hit and the enemies and things.
Well, I've literally played it for about 10, 15 minutes. I have really enjoyed it, but I'm just like, I think I need to sit down. Do you know how long it's supposed to be?
No, I don't
Yeah.
actually. I think
I'm
I
looking.
haven't heard anyone whinging about it, so it probably means it's quite long.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been a massive debate about game length in the wake of the Order, which we can come on to in a bit. And I just despair a little bit, really, to be honest, because I think it should be about the quality of the game and what's actually happening rather than the length of it. I
That's
mean,
true, but I think it's in connection with how much you're paying for it.
yeah,
So
I completely get that. But if you've got yeah, there's no context in a lot of these modern day Twitter discussions. That there's no kind of context over what you paying for, what the game is supposed to be. I think in relation to what people criticising the Order for, it's a full on 55 pound game or whatever it is, and it's
yeah, official
hardly
RP
6
or
hours
whatever.
long. You go through it fairly briskly and don't stop to smell the roses. Um, but people that whinge about the length of games, I just got no sympathy because they're usually going through it a million miles an hour and not kind of actually experiencing the game and kind of looking for stuff and enjoying it. But when that's allied with the criticism that's been levelled at the Order elsewhere, which is the controls are a bit clunky, the shooting's terrible, there's lots of kind of passenger style, kind of walking through a fixed corridor kind of stuff, where you're not really in control. There's a lot of quick time events. It's very kind of, there'll be a loading screen and then a big long kind of bit of exposition or cutscene and then a bit of walking where you're not really in control and then another cutscene and another loading, and it kind of, you're very rarely actually playing the game with any kind of agency.
Yeah.
So I mean that sounds utterly terrible. And then you add on to it, oh yeah, by the way, it's only 6 hours long. Well, maybe that's maybe that's a benefit to put you out of your misery, but it definitely doesn't befit the image of what that was the Order was supposed to be, which was a Gears of War competitor.
Yeah, which it totally wasn't.
So you are sorry.
I said it totally wasn't. I mean, in terms of game length,
What do you mean? What, as in it wasn't billed as a.
it's never going to contend with.
Oh as in yeah, exactly. It's nowhere near. I mean, nowhere near even the first entry in Gears of War, which was very good. But that's what they're obviously going for, and they've obviously missed it by a country mile.
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, like when people say about game lengths and stuff, there was one game in particular which was really short, really fucking short, and I was a bit like, oh, I didn't think I'd complete it that quickly, but I did really enjoy it, and I really wish it was just like it had an extra hour or two in there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I didn't want it to get boring, so I don't know, it's weird, which is Kane and Lynch 2, which had that smeary like VHS kind of effect. But yeah, I mean, I did it in like 4 hours, I think. I mean, it was literally like sat down and yeah, I completed it that night. But at the same time, I was like, fuck, I really enjoyed playing it though. Like that was really good, and it looked fucking great.
Brevity is
again,
the soul of wit. Like, well, don't waste my time. Like, why,
yeah,
why are there 10 levels the same with no new mechanics, no developments to the story, and that happens in virtually every game you can conceive of playing ever. It just goes on too long.
yeah. I mean, like thinking about it, I
Portal
feel like
games are good examples of games that don't do that. Like Portal 1 is a masterpiece. Actually, I prefer Portal 2 to be honest. It's fantastic. It's not too long. It's not a short game. Portal 2 anyway, not a short game, but it's all killer, no filler kind of stuff. There's nothing where you're sitting there going, well, we've done this. Why am I doing this? Like, it's
yeah,
just
but that's because it takes what you've learned and it builds an entirely new environment and a way of thinking, so it's fresh each and every time. So that could go on indefinitely to a degree, and you like the way people do with puzzle games generally, and that's what brings it to it.
But sometimes in puzzle games, I think sometimes they're going on for the sake of it, much like two games which I can mention what I've been playing recently, which would be the Swapper and Hohokum. And I really liked the Swapper, but I did think there were quite a few levels in the middle where you were just doing roughly the same stuff time and time and time again.
I love the Swapper.
Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, and it wasn't long enough that it was kind of taking the mickey, but you were kind of like in the middle before it got ridiculously hard, the last few levels, or the levels before the last few levels. That was kind of making it long for the sake of it, and that's probably the main criticism I would level at Hohokum, which is that there are certain puzzles where it's not clear what you do, there's no hint system, anything like that, and they're really long. There's no reason for them to be really long, like as in you have to go and fly sounds weird, fly your snake over these like certain dots or whatever, and you have to get all of them. So it's not just there are 50 of them, there are sort of 500 of them, and you're thinking, well, why did this need to be such a large task? It's clearly to kind of pad the game, really, to be honest, and prevent people doing ridiculous speed runs and then everybody whinging about it. Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes developers defend themselves against that by doing kind of egregious like padding for no reason. Anyway, right, that's the order. So that was Shovel Knight and Ori. So Hotline Miami 2 is out.
Have you got it yet?
Finished number 1. So I need to finish 1. I need to get on with that. Got pretty good reviews, really, so looking forward to playing it.
Well, the thing they're saying about 2 is that, and this is something I'm a bit worried about, is that they've made the rooms bigger, so which means that you could easily just get shot and you don't know where it's coming from. And for me, that sounds like that was one thing that I would always hate in the first Hotline Miami, but of course because it's so fast it doesn't really matter that much, is that sometimes you walk in a room and you wouldn't know who was like, you know, or in the next room they could shoot through doors or whatever, if I remember rightly, and and you die and you just think that's not my fault through anything, that's because I wasn't aware that he was there. So and if that's more of a thing in this game, then it is a bit worrying. But I just hope they haven't like fucked around with it too much.
I don't think they have. I mean, the only other criticism I had heard was that there was one level that some people like, some people don't, where you're kind of going through it as a guy that doesn't believe in violence, although he beats people up, but as in he doesn't believe in gun violence, so he kind of tries to take people down without guns, kind of thing, which makes it significantly difficult. But I think they've added a feature where you can lock on to enemies, so as long as you can kind of work out where they are, you can now lock onto them and move around, kind of thing, which kind of makes it a bit more balanced, the whole being shot from off the screen.
Okay. Was that not in it this last time, the first one? I thought it was.
Well, there's something, I don't know, honestly, it's so many games.
So is that just for the PC, or is that out on Vita and PS4 as well?
It's out, I think it's out completely now, isn't it?
I don't know.
I can have a look. I think it's out on PSN. It's definitely out on PC. So one of the other things was that Scream Ride has come out for Xbox One. So that's the kind of mix of Roller Coaster Tycoon and don't know what you'd call it, like Lemmings or something.
Any good?
I think they had a playable demo on there, and I've got to say it was entertaining diversion for sort of 20 minutes or whatever. But I'm not sure I'd buy it. I mean, it's quite entertaining making your own little roller coaster and trying to come up with stupid things. But once you see like the first attempt of the roller coaster going through what you've designed, and everyone flies off and vomits and dies, kind of thing, then you've laughed and you've cried. But then you've seen it. It's like, okay, well, why am I paying? I don't think it's fully priced though, to be fair to them. It's about, I think it's about £30 or £27 or something. So this is that. Yeah, Hotline Miami 2 is out, and it is $10.99 or $9.89 with PlayStation Now Plus. Sorry.
Right. So it's £8 basically.
Yeah,
10%.
Convert into your local currency. So, there's a game that's out it's out in America. I'm not sure if they're bringing it to Europe. It's on Xbox One. It's never been visible on the Xbox One store in Europe, but something changed the other day, and now it's visible, which kind of gives me hope that they are, localizing it for the UK. It's called Fibbage. Now this is a kind of party game, and it's based on like one Xbox One, and you know, if you've got only people around your house, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have multiple controllers. So I think you can have up to 8 people playing or whatever. And all people do is basically connect via the internet to a certain website, type in a code that the Xbox displays, and then they're connected to the game. And you go about trying to lie to your friends and make up sort of fake explanations for questions and stuff like this. So it's a bit of a party game, but I think that's quite a cool idea, using people's phones to kind of get involved without having to have controllers, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that gets localized and actually released, but it's out there kind of.
Okay.
It's out in the store kind of being there, so I don't know why that would happen if it was never going to be available. Which is interesting. There's a cool little PC game called Lovely Planet, which has been announced. Lovely Planet, which has been announced for Xbox One. That is, how to describe it? So it's kind of visually looks like a kind of nightmare in a kind of candy town. Kind of everything's pink and green and bouncy, and you know, looks a little bit childish. You've got a bow and arrow, and the idea is that you have to kind of get from perfect speed runs across certain levels of floating platforms and enemies and all this before the clock runs out, and you have to kill all the enemies and collect all the like the balls or whatever before the end of the level. So you have like 30 seconds to get to the end of the level, and it's all about kind of memorizing how many jumps you can spare to get from A to B, and where the enemy pops up and when you can hit them and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of, you know, instant reset, kind of you know, go again, a little bit like Miami, Hotline Miami and that kind of thing. So yeah, it looks quite cool. I've seen some YouTube footage of that. Looks pretty cool. What else? Have you got anything else?
Not news-wise, I don't think.
So other news. So Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 15 episode Duscae is out as a downloadable extra to Final Fantasy Type 0. I think I mentioned to you the other night, I was kind of tempted, having seen that all the vouchers on sale on eBay for like £30. You could buy the game Final Fantasy Type 0 for £35 and probably just sell it for 10. So you could probably get the voucher and the Final Fantasy demo for what, 20, 25? That would work out as.
Yeah.
I'm tempted because I've seen footage, I've read some coverage of it. It looks absolutely amazing. Have you seen it?
I've only seen screenshots. I've not actually seen it in motion. But yeah, I mean, unsurprisingly, like Final Fantasies anyway look fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, this is set in modern day. I mean, they've got a car that they need repairing or something, and you know, they've got like mobile phones, and they go into a world where there's actually a shop, and it looks like a normal kind of petrol station, and they're all kind of talking to each other as you're roaming around, and the detail in it just looks ridiculous. It's one of those games where you kind of think, yeah, okay, this couldn't have been done on the last generation. It does look impressive. So I'm really kind of curious to play it now. I probably could have waited until I heard that apparently the stuff that's in episode Duscae isn't going to be in the final game.
Okay.
So it's a kind of standalone, a bit like kind of Silent Hills PT or whatever, whereby it's going to be completely unique to the game. So that's kind of making me think I do want to play it. But we'll see. Okay. We'll see if I pluck up the the courage to buy it. Elite
money
is coming out on Xbox One. What did you say?
I said pluck up the money more than the courage.
Yeah, probably the money. Money is more important. Do you accept courage? No, sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Elite Dangerous is coming out on Xbox One. That's fantastic for people that like kind of space sims, which myself included. And there's a game that is coming out on PS4 this year, apparently, called Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Have you seen anything about that?
Yeah, they've been banging on about it for ages. This kind of immersive. This week? I haven't seen. No, I have seen footage before.
So it looks.
Like
it looks
6 months ago or something.
Beautiful, basically. The kind of central premise is that it's June in 1984, and suddenly you're in this village and everybody's disappeared. There's no one around. There's kind of cars sitting in the middle of the road. There's, you know, kind of news agents with nobody in them, and you know, all that kind of stuff. You've got to work out what's going on. it's kind of post-apocalyptic game, or in a way, but with a bit of a twist. There's no guns, there's no violence. It's all, it's a bit more adventure kind of style game, which sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, good.
Something different, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Something different. No guns and all that nonsense. And then talking of guns, GTA heists are finally here.
Yeah. So, have you tried it at all?
Not yet. No. You have to have 4 players, and a couple of mates that are actually playing it. They're playing it on the only system I haven't got GTA 5 on, so they're playing it on PS4, but I've got it on Xbox One and 360. But I haven't got it on PS4. So I think there's some people going to be getting it soon. So hopefully you'll get to play it soon.
Because to me, that's going to be what Hardline should have been.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of video about it, and it does look fantastic. It looks like, the kind of co-op multiplayer version of the missions you did in the actual GTA 5
in the actual game. So I mean, is this sorry?
Which I'm completely up for. Sounds great.
So is this a free update?
Yeah.
Great.
So I think there are 4 heists, each of which have several kind of component missions as a part of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the other thing that's happened, this is the last thing I've got in terms of news. The only thing that's happened since we last did a podcast is that Eurogamer have dropped their scoring policy, or their scores. They've now
I heard about this. Sorry. Go on.
That's right. They've now moved from 1 to 10, which was a farce anyway. And I think that some of their reasoning is completely spot on. Really, they've dropped it, and they've now only got kind of 4 possibilities for a review. They've got kind of essential, which is like their kind of gold standard, which is basically a 10. They've got recommended, which is kind of 8s and 9s. I mean, this is me guessing what they're related to. And then they've got avoid, which I'm guessing is kind of 1s, 2s, and 3s. And then everything else will just get a worded, review, as in you have to read the review to work out what they think of it, to understand the context in which they're talking. And I think it's a great move, really, to be honest. I think people whining, bitching, and arguing over points of scores on IGN and things like that is just kind of missing the point entirely. I mean, it's always someone's opinion at the end of the day. You really just want to try and get across the point of whether it's worth playing or not, really, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah.
I mean, we've got a 10-point system, which is fine, but yeah, when IGN has like 8.6 or something, it's like, come on. You might as well just go percentage then.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, that's completely the thing. There's a lot of people whinging about whether games journalists are in the pocket of publishers and stuff, and I genuinely don't think they are. But what they can't escape is the fact that the kind of commercial reality that their sites are heavily sponsored by all of these publishers. And if they kind of come out and slam the New Order, say for instance, which got like 6s, I think. If they come out and slam it and give it what it should get, conceivably, like a 4 or a 5 or something, then those publishers aren't going to be happy with them, and they're going to not, potentially damage that relationship, and they won't get advertising, and people are going to lose their jobs and put their families in difficulty and all this, and that's not realistically, that's not something that's going to happen for a large game like that, and that goes into the whole stuff about Ubisoft withholding review copies and embargoes and all that kind of stuff for Assassin's Creed Unity and all of that kind of shady practice. Whereas if you remove the scores entirely, then you kind of remove yourself from that. The whole grey area of between kind of 3 and 9, then you just say, well, we're not recommending it, but we're just writing a review about it. Doesn't matter. You can't use that. You can use quotes, but you can't use that as a kind of boiled down number to kind of understand a complex idea. Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah.
Bless you.
I was going to mute that, but then realised you come to the end of your sentence. And I was like, what do I do?
And sneeze. Excellent. Thanks. Right, so, hey, what have you been playing, Sam?
What have I been playing? Well, yeah, so I played some Far Cry 4,
cool.
Which is good. Again, it is like Far Cry 3, but more advanced. And yeah, but it's the same. It's the same thing. I really loved Far Cry 3, and I think Far Cry 4 is going to be pretty much the same thing. I got a Xbox One for my birthday. Thanks, and thanks very much. Which means I've now got the PS4, Xbox One, and a Wii U in front of me, and my Xbox 360 and my PS3 have been demoted to the bedroom. It makes it sound kinky.
Sex toys.
Yeah, but the good thing is that I'm like, man, I can actually like catch up on the old games like in bed. This is sounding even weirder. Yeah, and having all the new stuff in the lounge is pretty good. So yeah, so I've got the full deck, as it were. So with that, I've been playing Sunset Overdrive. Did you say that you played that? Or
I've got it. It's just one of those things that I keep on meaning to go into, and then I just find something else to play. It's like you can create your list of tiles on the left side of the main menu on Xbox One, which is fantastic because you can order them on your phone. You can order them the right way, and it's great. That is just full of games that I've got installed on the Xbox, and I just always find something else that kind of wants me to play it, really, to be honest. So I haven't dived into it as much as I wanted to, but yeah, it's pretty cool game.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like, I mean, to me, it seems it's basically Infamous, but like on acid.
I thought the kind of humour to it was going to be really annoying, and then when I played the first like 2 hours or whatever it was, I actually kind of found it wasn't making me kind of die with laughter, but it was kind of amusing.
It's whole kind of postmodern meta.
It wasn't annoying me, but I thought, oh, well, these people kind of, hipsters are gonna, it's kind of meta kind of humor is not going to be very funny, but it actually was quite amusing. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of harmless fun, really, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's just executed very well. So yeah, that's cool.
And it's nice not to just go for like realism, and it just be out and out like cartoony looking. Ridiculous, and all the colours really ping, and all this stuff, which is so I mean that's been pretty good. Yeah, and some Ori and the Blind Forest, which looks great, and that's all Xbox wise that I've been doing. Apart from that, I got Resident Evil Revelations, which I think is all finished now. There's 4 episodes released weekly. And I'm just coming to the end of episode 1, so I'm not doing very well. But it's I really enjoy it. It goes back to the roots of what I enjoyed about Resident Evil. It's not it's quite slow, but in a good way. And the puzzles are quite good.
How's it? I mean, it's being played as an episodic content downloads kind of stuff. Does it play like a Resident Evil game, kind of third-person action?
At the moment, yeah. I mean, bear in mind I'm still on the first episode, but it's so where 6, for instance, was like fucking ridiculous, like loads of zombies. It's like a weird action film, like it was up on speed or something, and even it's like supposed to be like it's horror, like it's quieter horror moments. Just it wasn't. There was just no tension or anything. But with this one, it feels quite tough. Like I don't feel overpowered, like how I did in maybe 6 and even to a degree 5, to be honest. But it feels like I could easily get like fucked any moment, basically, which is good. And I've died like a few times already. And I quite like the mechanic of swapping over the characters. But yeah, it feels more methodical. And it feels like that isolated thing of like the early Resident Evils, at least. And it's all quite dingy and dark, which I know I've read some people have a problem with in terms of they don't think it's a very exciting like setting or anything like that. I don't need it to be. Like the first Resident Evil is like, alright, it goes into a lab at the end, but it's just a fucking house, basically. And I really like that game, but it's Revelations has felt really good, like a bit of a I know it's not really part of the main canon or anything like that, But it's got Barry in there, who's the first one. It's his daughter is one of the characters in it as well. And you're playing Claire Redfield, who's obviously quite a big deal in the Resident Evil world. And at the same time, they don't feel like weak or anything like that. Like Barry comes in with quite some arsenal. Claire's got like her gun, and she's a bit like Kick-Ass kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy it. It just felt like, and I know. I'll tell you what it is as well. Is that when we're playing Evil Within, for instance. Well, firstly, it hasn't got the fucking letterboxes for a start, so it means I can actually see the fucking thing properly. But it feels like it's what the Evil Within, what I would like the Evil Within to have been. So it doesn't need all these like intricate. I mean, you do upgrade and you do change your weapons or whatever and all this stuff. But Evil Within still, again, felt like it kind of lost what I enjoy about it, and Resident Evil Revelation seems to have tapped into that a bit more. So, but I don't know if that will last. I'm quite intrigued to see what it will be like for the rest of it. But it's not blowing my mind. It just feels like it's very comforting in that it's not shit like
familiar
6
but
was.
solid, but not amazing.
Yeah, like I've enjoyed it the same way I'd probably enjoy picking up, for instance, the Resident Evil HD remaster thing that's out and playing that again and enjoying that.
But that thing about letterboxing goes back to the Order as well. That was one of the other things that they've gone so kind of hardcore on a cinematic experience kind of thing that it almost plays like a kind of non-interactive or barely interactive movie. And that even during the action scenes, there was one person doing a demo where they were kind of like ducked down behind like a piece of cover, a la Gears of War kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the screen was kind of so stretched, or the letterboxes came in, the black bars at the top, that they were behind a kind of V, imagine kind of a right angle kind of piece of cover, and the V actually touched the top of the screen, so they couldn't see anybody over the cover because the letterbox came down so low.
Why are they doing it? So stupid.
It actually goes, the styling goes so far as to impact the actual gameplay.
I mean, it's the same with Evil Within. Like, when we were playing it, I was like, he's taking up a third of the screen. I can't see anything. I'm getting, like, I've got a fucking, like, 51-inch TV. It's not tiny. And I can't fucking see what I'm doing. And it's giving me a headache trying to stare in this specific spot. It's like, get rid of the fucking letterbox. Get rid of it. Let me see the fucking, I've got this big screen. Let me use it. Why are you narrowing my field of view? Oh, it makes it a bit more tense. No, it's just fucking me off. I don't go around the world wearing blinkers, do I?
I have a beep overload in that last little passage.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
R2D2.
Cool. What else have you been playing?
Yeah, what else have I been playing? I tell you what, I'm still doing, I know you've done it, I'm still doing Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Actually, you might be able to answer me this.
I loved it and I hated it. Actually, no, I didn't hate it. I just found there's a lot of mechanics in the first one that were kind of a bit infuriating, but it's still a great game. I'm kind of thinking it's great, yeah.
I mean, there's been a few times where I'm like, there's a couple of things that annoy me. One is that you have to have things equipped on your like top right for things to kind of register.
Oh,
and there's loads of little bits where I'm like, so for instance, it's like this guy gave me a pass at this prison. You probably remember this. And I'm walking around, and he goes, "Go see thingy." So I'm like, okay, and I go see whatever, and it's like, "Oh, you need a pass to get in here." And I'm like, "I've got a pass, but I can't get in." And then I start trying all the doors, and I'm like, "I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing." And it took me ages, and I finally figured out, hold on, I've got to actually have the pass like up in the top right corner.
In the second one, in Crimes and Punishments, they've done away with that.
Yeah, thank God, because it's already, some of it's quite complicated. Like some of the puzzles. Like I only just did recently, like the. So you've done it, right?
Yeah, I mean I'm not going to be able to remember it because it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but it was like there's one bit where you're jotting, you find a box which had a gun in or whatever, but you're jotting down all the numbers, and it's like a number puzzle.
Okay. Yeah.
And and like the very last one of that, I had to look it up online because I was like, I can't fucking figure this out. This is really difficult.
I thought in the first one, but especially in the second one.
No, that's a bad thing.
They do away with you having to write stuff down, I think, in the second one as much because they're just a bit better about kind of like subtly giving you like something you might need to refer to. I mean, I was playing it earlier. I was playing the new one, so Crimes and Punishments earlier with a friend, and they
What friend?
Oh God, I've been going into this again. So
And
with
Skippy.
yeah, God,
Was
seriously.
it Skippy?
Yes, it was. So we play it. He plays as
I don't
Watson.
know. I don't know what's going on between you two. This is like me and Ryan back with the Fast and Furious days.
It is a little bit, but he plays as Watson, so it's fine. Anyway, the point is, you get some evidence, and if it's something visual you need to refer to kind of later down the line to solve a puzzle, then you'll kind of get a diagram of it, which you can then refer to in your notes or anything. And I think it does a good job of referring almost everything you need in kind of like things people have said in conversations and all that. It kind of gives you all of the tools there. But the main difference that they have in the second one is that there's a kind of, you get a load of clues which kind of float around the screen when you go into a certain mode, and you have to try and connect them to come to a deduction, and you make a call on which way that deduction goes to change the overall kind of way the case ends effectively. So you could willfully put the wrong person in prison if you wanted to, but obviously going to get less kind of achievements for purposefully putting an innocent man in jail. But I think the second one is a lot more polished. I mean, Watson is still absolutely fucking useless. He just kind of walks behind you, gets in the way, and just whenever you ask, if you're stuck, if you ask him, 99 times on 100, he'll just sort of say, what are we doing, Holmes? And you're like, well, I was hoping for a clue or something. Like, what? You're literally of no help. And earlier on, that we're doing something a bit kind of illegal in the evidence room, and
Were you? I bet you were.
He said to Watson, go and check the door so no one comes in here. And then basically I get interrupted by some police constable. It's like, Watson, you had one job.
Didn't even do it.
You busted. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I'm kind of like halfway through the third case of 5 or 6, and I think it's fantastic. I'm not sure, it might be free on PS3 at the moment.
I don't know if it still is. It definitely was.
But just on
I've
PS3,
got it ready and willing.
it's
Afterwards.
great. I really enjoy it. It's great. Anyway, yeah, what else you play?
Still doing Final Fantasy 13 Part 2.
Bob.
Yeah, real buff. But it's I feel like I'm on the home stretch a little bit. I'm not really sure. I don't really know actually. But I really want to get it done. I just want to finish it and put a line under it forever. I don't know why I'm so obsessed that I want to do all these Final Fantasies.
I want to do them, but then I realise how much of a task they all are, and I just kind of...
They really are.
Anything else to play. It's like...
I mean, to be honest, 13 was alright. I mean, what I like about the series of 13 anyway, is the fighting is essentially kind of just pressing one button, but you're more aware of, you're kind of pressing one button, but you're also like 2 or 3 steps ahead at the same time. Right. So even though it's easier, it's also slightly more strategic and difficult than it would be if it was like action or like pure action or stop.
Well, Final Fantasy 15 is basically real time now.
Yeah,
there's no random battles. If someone sees you in the out in the open and they walk towards you, then there's a battle. But it doesn't kind of then go into a different mode. It just happens like a third-person action kind of game. And it's all real time, which is, I suppose, it's relatively new, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not done it like that before, no. But I do quite like 13's way of fighting. So I'm not too fussed about doing it like this. It's just that, like at one point where I am, but if people whoever's done it before, when you're in, you've got to get these rings. All right, so you're in like some future lab or whatever the fuck it is, and you've got to get these rings in order to open up bridges to go over and unlock one thing, unlock another, and it's just, I'm literally playing it going, this is pure filler. This is purely to pad this game out. This is like boring and frustrating, and so I'm at a real low point where it's really tough to kind of go, like it's like walking through mud or something. You're really trying to get through it. But yeah, never mind.
Never mind.
There's Wii U actually. But it's a bit weird because hello. Hey. I was saying I'm playing a lot of Super Smash Brothers on Wii U as well.
Okay.
Which is good fun. But the thing is, as well, it's a bit different from. I think I was saying this in the last podcast, but I haven't got anyone to play it with. So so the last Smash Brothers I did was on GameCube, and that was at uni, and we used to
Is it
play
not
it for
online then?
yeah, well you can do, but it's something about having like 4 or 5 guys on you in the same room. Um, I mean, Super Smashing Brothers, Super Smashing Bros.
Whoa, this episode's gone off
Hold
the
on,
now.
let's take a step back.
There will never be an episode 15.
Yeah. But it's lost that because I'm just playing it by myself, like, good move. Rather than like the boisterous nature of why I liked it in the first place. So it's a good game, but at the same time, I'm like, it feels like it's lost something a little bit.
Cool.
But yeah, I still need. So I've got Bayonetta 1 and 2 waiting, wrapped up, ready to be played. So that's to go next on Wii U. And I think that's it. I think that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
I haven't touched Freedom Wars or Final Fantasy X Part 2. God, Jesus.
Why would you bother with that?
Because I've got it.
I've got it. I've got it, alright.
I've got it and it needs to be done. But Freedom Wars, I'm still like, it's just giving me a headache even thinking about it. Yeah, I tried to dip into Dark Souls again. I just think I'm going to have to give up on that. Like, if there's anyone out there, I know it's like everyone goes, you have to do it. But for someone who doesn't have very much time in their lives to play video games anyway, the idea of having save points really far apart, you're dying all the time, you're having to redo stuff, I don't want to do that. So if that really is what it's about,
it really doesn't sound very appealing, to be honest.
I just
kind
can't
of like
do
the
it.
difficulty. It really is the domain of someone who's time rich, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how these days you even if you were time rich and you had all this time, why you would just kind of, I mean, hey, hypocrite warning coming from a person that's sunk so much time into Destiny, but as in, why would you spend so much time in like one game? But at least with Destiny, it was cooperative. It was, you're just doing it for playing with friends, and you're getting somewhere eventually. But with Dark Souls, it just seems a bit kind of sadomasochistic, kind of a bit dark.
I can imagine, like, I would like it if I was, at school, or whatever, you know what I mean, where it's like I can come back and I don't have to worry about stuff and I've got loads of time and I can just sit there and, or like I've got a job where like I only have to work 3 days a year or something, then I imagine, yeah, great job. Great job. Then, yeah, I can imagine that, yeah, I don't. So imagine that I'd enjoy it in that case, but just playing it, just trying to think, well, I've got like an hour, let's just knock it out. The idea that I might have to go back and do that hour again, nope, ain't got time for it. So I'd rather play something else. And then basically, when I get cancer, or if I get really ill, or if I get really ill, if I'm bedbound, if I lose my legs or something that allows me to be in bed for a long period of time, I'll give it a go then. Dark Souls.
Look on the bright side
of Dark Souls.
But there's just so many games to play. It's unreal. I just don't have the time for that kind of bullshit.
I tell you what, I'd be interested in Bloodborne.
Their own, but no, like there's a lot of people currently going mental over the impending release of Bloodborne on PS4, and that's the same kind of thing, isn't it? And it just no.
Yeah, but someone said it's like Dark Souls light a little bit. Basically, all I want to know is that can I just save it regularly? Like, if it says yes, that means I can do bits of progress at a time. Then great, I'll get it and I'll give it a go. And if it's difficult, okay. But as long as I don't have to redo massive amounts each and every time, then fine.
Yeah.
But it's not as if like I enjoy that kind of thing, even though I think it looks like a PS1 fucking game anyway. The Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, to be honest. I never look at it and think that's a great looking game. I always like, it looks shit. Just really shit graphics, like PS2 stuff or whatever. No, is it just me?
Well, I don't tend to look at it, to be honest. I just know it's not for me, so I don't bother with it really. So yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think that's what I've been playing. I don't think I'm playing anything else. I feel like if I have, I don't know. I think I played something on my phone. Monument Valley. Actually, I did
Ah,
that.
I
That was really
downloaded
good.
that. I downloaded that on the realization that I had made a mistake not bringing my Vita when we went to Berlin. I
Yeah.
tried to download it on the while we were taxiing on the plane, and I didn't quite get it before we took off.
Well, that's a shame.
So I was stuck without it, and I haven't bothered going back to it since. But
I mean, it's really good. I literally completed it in like an hour and a half, something like that.
yeah, something for commuting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So anything else?
I don't
Any
think
other
so.
business from you?
No, not for me. What have you been doing? What have you been playing?
Well, here's the list.
Oh God.
So
Okay.
Killzone Shadowfall.
Yeah.
Um,
Bullshit.
kind of beautiful, but massively overusing the J.J. Abrams style lens flare, but
Yeah.
always at 180 degrees across the screen. Just always at exactly the same angle, which is weird. Probably one of the most overrated games I've played in years. Like, people lost their minds over. Well, a lot of people I know were saying how good it was, and when I played it, it's one of those ones where you're kind of, what, really? Like, what is happening? It's just not that good. It's not even as good as other Killzone games.
I mean,
Nonsense.
none of the kill zones have been that good. I'm gonna be honest.
At least this time the plot was sensible, because before it's been like I can't work out what's going on. So that's done. In other shooter news, I also did Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
Also, a coherent plot as well, which was
Yeah.
fantastic.
I really liked it.
I thought it was enjoyable. I mean, I thought Kevin Spacey was basically the same kind of character as what's his name, Frank Underwood from House of Cards. But yeah, I mean, it was that kind of the motion capture and the acting from whoever the other guy was. Was it Troy Baker? Was it? I don't know.
It was, yeah, in
That
Call
was
of Duty.
kind
Yeah.
of uncanny valley, wasn't it? It was so good. I kind of like not believing my eyes at some points. It just genuinely looked like a TV series at some points, and it was great.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was quite as ridiculous as, I mean, the overall plot probably is, but as in a lot of their Modern Warfare series, they've had some really ridiculous moments, like where you're piloting a dinghy around a New York Hudson Bay harbor kind of thing, where you're navigating around submarines in a full-scale naval battle and all this kind of stuff. There's nothing quite as memorable as that, but it was quite good, serviceable game, but again, it's perfect rental fodder, so I've sent it back. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it was the first game I got on PS4. I think it was, and
How old is it?
it was a launch title.
What, Advanced Warfare?
Oh, I'm still thinking Killzone.
Oh,
Sorry. No, that's my fault.
Yeah, so that on PSN I've gone through quite a lot actually. So mentioned the Swapper, really enjoyable. Bit of a hey, there's a twist. There's a twist at the end of that. Quite enjoyable. I definitely got stuck towards the end. There were a couple of puzzles that were really kind of baking my noodle. Yeah, that was
Yeah, I
interesting.
love the Swapper. It's great.
That was good. I am still playing Hohokum. I started on PS4 and I've moved across to Vita purely because I think I think there's a few parts in there where you're kind of you're being padded. It feels like you're being padded. You're made to kind of, select a certain number of things, and it unnecessarily makes you do too many kind of thing, or too many that would be reasonable. So whereas a task to activate something would take a minute, it takes 5 minutes. And you're thinking,
Yeah, but I liked that though. I wanted them to get more and more complicated, and they did.
oh, have you
And
done it? Have you played the game?
Swapper.
No, sorry, I'm talking about Hohokum now.
Oh, sorry. What is wrong with me?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're dropping out on my thing every now and then, so I do
No, so I
apologise.
started Hohokum, started on PS4, now on Vita. It's really cool. It's really kind of happy and colourful, and I mean, it's really abstract. There's no kind of hints as to what you're supposed to do. A lot of the puzzles are just, you just kind of have to work it out by flying a little snake thing over whatever it is the active kind of character or whatever. And yeah, it's just a bit kind of bonkers and weird and abstract, but it is kind of peaceful. And I can imagine that if you were into narcotics, that you would be you would be really enthusiastic about Hokum because it's kind of
Into
like,
narcotics.
yeah, well, you know,
Or
some
like a hobby.
yeah, some people are enthusiasts, aren't they? You know, they take it regularly. What am I talking about? Right. Yeah, but there's like a kind of trance music background that kind of comes in and out, and it's quite easy to listen to. It's you basically puts you in a trance, and there weirdly enough, I was watching Conan O'Brien videos the other day, and there was a video from him a couple of years ago at E3, and they made him play Hokum, and he was joking around about, like, you know, talking to the developer about how much drugs the guy had done, because it does kind of put you into a bit of a, you know, weird catatonic state as a game. Bit weird, you know, worth playing though. But I don't know if it's not. I don't know. Is it going to be free in the next couple of months on PSN?
Probably.
Who knows? So yeah, so that I did Unfinished Swan, which was
Yeah, that was that.
out ages ago, and then back out for PS4 and Vita. Yeah, really liked it. It's kind of a simple story of you know, a kid whose mother dies, and she was an enthusiastic painter, and you know, he kind of goes into the wonder world of her unfinished paintings and all this, you know, through the looking glass kind of style. It's kind of cool. You have to, like, illuminate your path through the world by, you know, throwing paint or water or, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's quite cool. I think it kind of overstretches itself towards the end. Like the last few levels are a bit, you know, that it's not quite as intuitive what you're doing, and yeah, it just kind of loses its fun a little bit. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, visually, it's a stunning game, like really beautiful. Yeah, really liked it. But yeah, so that's
Cool. What else are you doing?
So yeah, did you play Transistor? Because that was free recently on PSN.
I didn't play it. I did. I've got it to download, but no, I haven't played it yet.
I would thoroughly recommend it. It's one of the best kind of indie DLC games I've played in years, basically. It probably doesn't go on that long, which is almost perfect. It's kind of got a simple kind of turn-based, block-based combat system, and the kind of variety through the game is based on how you configure the various powers that you get, and you can have them as kind of your primary or as a support or as a passive power, and they all do different kind of things.
Okay, cool.
You can configure it that way, and it's kind of cool. I think you'll like it because it's ultimately it's a bit of a weird kind of film noir story about a lounge singer and her talking sword. And if I'm honest, I don't really know how the talking sword came to be. I don't really understand it.
Okay.
It's cool. I think you like it. I'd thoroughly recommend it if anyone's got it and managed to put it in their list to download from PSN. Well worth playing. It's cool.
Yeah, I will. I'll make sure I play it.
I've played a lot of Rogue Legacy on Vita. I can't get enough of that game. Have you got it?
Again, I think it's on my download list. I've not played it.
I think it's super kind of addictive, and the great thing about playing it on Vita rather than PSN is that because it's quite hard, and you know, death can happen quite quickly, that it kind of lends itself to 5, 10 minute, 15-minute bursts, and then you die, you come back as one of your ancestors with different perks and different abilities, and you can just put it down. So there's nothing really kind of keeping you, tying it to you for an hour or two. It's just kind of like short bursts.
Is there like a final end game to it, if you know what I mean? Like,
you have to kind of go through 4 areas of the map. They change every time, but they're kind of different themes, different areas. So you go through 4, and there's a boss in each one, and then there's a final boss, I think, or there's a door that only opens once you've beaten those 4 bosses. I'm not anywhere near the first boss yet. I've died many, many times. But yeah, it's good fun.
Is there a final game over? Like, do you run it off?
Yeah, I think there is. Once you get to the final door, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd thoroughly recommend it. It's really, really cool. There's a game called Axiom Verge coming out, which is made by one guy, which is another similar kind of Metroidvania kind of, you know, side-scrolling exploration kind of platforming game, which looks good. There's a bit more kind of sci-fi theme to it.
Right.
That looks wicked. That's coming out this year as well. So I think we did on our Vita preview video we did on YouTube, that was on there. So if you wanted to see that, there's a little clip of that on there.
Okay.
So that's all the PSN stuff I've played. And then what have I played on Xbox? Oh well, Call of Duty I did, and I've obviously done Sherlock today, and I
Is
started.
it better than Testament? You're saying yes.
Yeah, yeah, they've definitely made the kind of mechanics of it better, and the whole way of deducing clues and like the next kind of step in the investigation. If you get a couple of kind of clues together, you match them up, and you come to the right deduction, it'll give you like the next kind of thing to go and investigate. It'll kind of say, oh, okay, well, this means that you can go to this kind of dock and have a look around here or something. I think it's really good. I mean, some of the voice acting is like hilariously terrible, but some of it's quite good. But there are kind of annoying police officers who stand there and kind of in the kind of worst overacted Cockney kind of go, Mr. Holmes, which is really annoying. But yeah, by and large, they pronounce their H's correctly, which is fine. Yeah, so last night started Wolf Among Us.
Oh
Which
yeah.
I'm enjoying so far. Yeah, it's quite cool. Got that on the rental. It's quite cool. I'm still in episode 1 at the moment, but it doesn't seem very long. I mean, I've already uncovered like most of the little, you know, fact-finding badges of episode 1 or something. But yeah, I quite like it. It's cool. Have you played it?
I completed it, didn't I?
Okay. What, all 5 episodes?
Yeah, I did it as they came out.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
I talked about it on this podcast numerous occasions.
Got amnesia. What? How long does it take each episode, do you reckon?
Not that long.
No?
An hour.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Maybe more. Maybe just over.
Okay.
But it's I thought it ended quite badly.
Oh, really? Is there going to be season 2? Or is that it?
I don't know, actually. I mean, there could be, I suppose. But
spoilers.
yeah, sorry. But there's it started off really strong. I really liked where it was going, and then when you kind of know what's kind of behind it, there's just loads of things they hint at throughout, and I'm thinking, like for instance, they talk about the farm. I think they talk about in the first episode where and all this, which they don't really
explore,
do anything with. No, and it's like. And I really wanted it to be a bit more about like, oh, you know, someone behind it all, and like everyone's working against each other in this whole like culture in this world that's clearly out there, and yet they're like, oh, the bad guy's this guy, and you're like, okay, and you know, it's just you kind of after him a little bit, and that's kind of it. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought there'd be more, you know, about this. I thought it'd just go a bit deeper. Since it spent so long building up.
Are they following the? I learned it was based on a DC comic kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just following the plot of that.
I've never. Surprisingly, I haven't actually. Even though I do read a lot of comics, I've never read that comic.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, but I know it's a huge series. If I remember, well, maybe it's not. I don't know. Might be just making it up. But as in, I think it's to do with events that don't. I don't think it's based purely on an actual event thing, like a narrative arc that happens within the comics.
Oh, okay.
I think it's kind of its own thing a little bit. I might be completely mistaken there, but that's what I believe. But yeah, I don't know. It was alright. It was good. It just wasn't. I just was a bit disappointed by the end because I thought it could be great, and it wasn't. It was good. It just wasn't great.
Okay. Well,
I mean, Walking Dead Series 1 is like a million times better, put it that way.
Which was?
Walking Dead first series is a million times better.
I'm not going to be playing that, so that's fine.
Oh, you should do, man. Really, that's great.
No. You know, fucking the undead jumping out at me from behind a sofa. No, thank you.
But it's not about that. It's about the relationship you have with this little girl.
Oh, everyone runs away from zombies. Yeah.
But it's not about the zombies. The zombies are just a representation of the attack, of the badness of like the outside world.
I see.
But it's about him and taking responsibility and being responsible for something. Because it starts off with like him being going to jail, and you never really know throughout the entire thing. He hints at why a little bit, but you don't really know why. and then all of a sudden he's had to take on this little girl and teach her like morality and like try and keep her safe, and suddenly it's this thing that you are responsible for and that you're trying to take care of throughout these episodes. I mean, that's what it's about. I don't think back and think, oh yeah, with that bit with the zombie. I think back between the relationship I had with Clementine.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, on the fence. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Cool.
Cool. Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, that's it from me.
I think that's it for me. Just trying to think. I don't think there's anything else.
We've mentioned every game going, so I think we're covered for now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just got some long ass games in front of me to get through as well. What's coming out? What's coming out that's good? Like, okay, Bloodborne's coming out soon. I don't think I'm going to bother with that for a while.
The Witcher is out in late May, I think. I don't know really about what's coming soon. A lot of the games that I'm kind of hoping for are kind of being a bit sketchy on when they're coming out, like No Man's Sky or The Division or things like that. I know that they've announced Metal Gear Solid for early September, but could be due to move. Halo will be this year, definitely.
I'm actually looking forward to Halo.
The next Forza will be this year. I don't know what they're doing about Call of Duty this year. Is it a Black Ops or is it?
You know what? I don't know.
I don't really care.
Because that was Sledgehammer's first one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So do they? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll find out, and next week we'll discuss it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Head over to thewildboar.com for more gaming stuff, or you can find us on Twitter at thewildboaruk, BORE UK, or feel free to email us anything. Chances are, if you send anything, it's going to get read out. So that's Wild Boar TV. So it's BORETV at gmail.com.
Do it. Sorry, ignore me.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Goodbye.
Goodbye.